Hello, this is Patrick. Welcome to Chart Built Wealth, profitable investing with technical analysis. I wanted to give you an update, a weekly update going over our current buy recommendations. There's going to be some interesting changes, I think, once we get into July. So with that, let's get into it. I'm going to start with the S&P 500, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of things that are actionable currently and things that I'd be watching closely if you're long. But first, let's take a look at one of the worst calls that I have going, and that's bearish the S&P 500. I mean, getting bearish way up here at the pretty much the prior high and doing some nice work here on the downside. I definitely got in too early, and here we are challenging the previous high. I'm going to stay with a bearish rating, even though the next couple of days will probably be up because we're going into month and quarter end, and money managers like to mark up prices to make them look good. Maybe we can take advantage of that um, for July, which I think will be more challenging. We still have a big negative divergence on our weekly chart with lower lows all the way into currently today's high. We have a lower low on our relative strength index, suggesting the internals are weakening even on this up thrust. And you can see the volume bars are nothing special, but I do expect another couple of days of strength. That's a kind of a usual pattern. I wanted to let you know that. So, going to stay bearish uh, on the overall market. As I said before, this is only a part of somebody's portfolio. It's a hedge. So if I'm, 10% short the S&P 500 and I'm long copper and platinum, and here the S&P's up 3% for this week, and copper and platinum's up, I don't know, 33% this week, and copper's up, I don't know, 15% this week. So it's kind of a hedged portfolio. I'd like them all to be going in the right direction, but this is the one that isn't. So let's move on. Still bearish. Antero Resources, this is one I'd be buying. I'd be buying it. I bought some more today. As I talked about last week, I'd be selling into this big white up bar, meaning it started the week here and closed way up here. Now, I was saying last Thursday on the call, I'd be selling into that strength. And now this week, we're getting the opposite. So the shares that I sold, I'm back buying those again. And there's still a lot of upside in this. I think natural gas might have bottomed today. It had a nice bullish hammer, and Antero being uh, the majority of their business being a natural gas, will be a beneficiary of that. So, we're at, let's call it 40 just for talking purposes, and we got a $63 price projection. So that's, I don't know, 35, 40% potential upside. I may be raising my stop up here though to 36 or so, probably next week. And here's National Retail Properties. This was one of the newest recommendations back on June 8th at about, let's call it 41.5. And, we're up nicely to 43. And, this pays a 5% dividend. So it's a nice growth and income story, but there is a lot of upside here. The bullish inverse head and shoulders is suggesting a $50 price projection, and we're at 43. So that's almost 20% more. And the monthly chart shows a gigantic symmetrical triangle similar to what we saw in copper, what we see in copper. So the potential for it to go higher is there than 50, higher than 50. So I'd be adding to that. I bought some this week when it was down intra week, and fixed income, the 10-year treasury. So it's starting to move. I have to say, though, there's some other timing things that I'm looking at, and I do think it's getting close When I suggested buying this back in early 2025, let's call it 91, I said, I'm expecting 103. I've adjusted that to 100 after remeasuring the pattern. But there's also some cyclical things that are going on, and time is running out for this to get to its 100 price projection. So I'm looking for another high. I'd like to see it exceed, let's say, 97. And so I may be scurrying in the next few days, if we're lucky and get a couple more up days, to go to a neutral rating on fixed income. Treasuries, basically, corporate bonds would probably follow the same. So we're getting near the end of this move, but it's been a good one. We've collected good dividends. We got another one coming up. I believe it's July 1st, and we've gotten some appreciation, not a ton of volatility, so it's been good. Exelon, this is one I've been cautioning about. It cannot break this low, and this is an interest rate sensitive issue, utilities. Now, I do expect the market to go down once we get into July. Usually, utilities are a safe haven, so they should go up in value as the market has trouble. But also the interest, if bond yields start to go up and bond prices down, Exxon will have a headwind there. So I'm not real bullish on this right now. I'm not really adding to that. As I said last week, I was adding to XLU, the utilities ETF. It has like 100 utility companies in it. It looks better than this. This is a potential bearish head and shoulders top. So we got to monitor that. But let's see what happens. I'm not certainly not throwing in the towel, and I have been adding, but at a much slower pace. I probably have a third of what I had when I initially went long. I sell as things go up, and I nibble at the shares that I sold as prices go down. China looks great. I'd like to get another China bullish stock or ETF uh, involved here, because I do think there's still a lot of upside in China. I'm not going to show you the Shanghai index tonight, but it's a huge potentially bullish pattern. And who got you in back here in early 2024? This has outperformed the U.S. stock market by a ton. And here we are at 37. So uh, this has been a good one for us. Silver, this one's been a better one for us. So this is the huge symmetrical triangle going back, I think it's 15 years. And we had a small and bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern here that suggested when it broke out of that we were going to 32. And we're at 32, but this larger pattern is suggesting 64, and the point and figure chart is suggesting more. So this is like once in a lifetime. Commodities haven't seen this big of a bull market since the 70s. And that's why I've been harping on these all the time. And you just buy them just like you would a stock. It's an ETF. The symbol's SLV. I wouldn't be buying it now. This week it's up 11%. So again, this has been a good call, and I expect a lot more here, though not in a straight line. So what am I doing now? I'm selling a little bit. Actually, it was down 3 days ago. You had a chance to add to it. I sold those shares basically now on this rebound that I bought back, but still have a big allocation to silver and gold. Copper, this is a monster. So this is the big ascending triangle, an ascending support line and a flat resistance line. We had a couple of fake breakouts. Is this going to be another one? Well, we'll see. But you can see I've been pretty nimble here, as you have to be with commodities sometimes because they're so volatile. But who got bullish back in January of 2024? This is the ETF, CPER, at 25, and now we're at 32. Uh, this big pattern is suggesting 42. So it's still got a long way to go. On any pullback, I'm adding to that. And today, I think it was up like 3% or 2.5%. So what was I doing? I was selling. Actually, by the end of the day, it was only up like 1.25, and I bought those shares back again. But you don't have to be that tactical. You can buy and hold this. I mean, I've been bullish on copper for a year and a half. So again, though, this is outside the box. Your broker's not telling you to buy this. And again, I don't have any licenses. I don't have any clients. I'm not, I'm only doing this to pass along true technical analysis. I have my Carter market technician, CMT 1 and 2. I've been formally trained. I'm not somebody who says, "Oh yeah, I like technical analysis." This is the real deal that people have passed on to me, and I want to pass it on to uh, other people. Okay, so copper looks great. This is the big pattern of copper. So this is the ETF, CPER. This ascending triangle goes back 1, 2, let's call it 3 years. This huge symmetrical triangle goes back 15 years. This is similar to silver. And this thing is trying to break out of this. It suggests an $8 price projection. This is actual copper. This is the copper futures. Uh, this is a real deal. And so that's why I've been so aggressively talking to you about these big commodities. This is once in a lifetime. This is like technology stocks back in the early 90s or, around then. And here's the last but not least, platinum. This has been the big winner. Most people would put this at the top of their review, but I'm not into that. I don't have to sell myself. I'm not looking to make a lot of money on this, but uh, I enjoy educating people on this. And platinum, this is one I talked about for a long time in here. I said, when this thing breaks out, it's really going to go. It's wound so tight. And you can see what happened up. This is a monthly chart, so each one of these bars represents a month, up 33% this month. I have a 141 price projection. So I think there's more to go, but definitely don't be buying this today. Don't be an idiot. Don't be an amateur. This is where you're selling shares. Same with, anything that's up 12% copper or whatever was up this week. You got to sell a few shares. So you're certainly not buying. But look at this huge volume bar. So you got all the amateurs piling into this now. And what does the smart money do? They're starting to sell gradually. I'm probably from 7 or 8%, I'm probably down to 6% now. I still think there's more though. So that's it. Thank you for watching Chart Built Wealth, Profitable Investing with Technical Analysis. Please like and subscribe. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your family. Adios. Have a great evening and happy Friday tomorrow.